Couple of stories in the news today. Raphaël Melançon joins us, political analyst for CJAD 800, and we're going to talk STM and the strike and another announcement today. But I want you to hear from, this is the management spokesperson for the STM. Her name is Catherine Riou-Grollo, and here she is describing management's take on how things are going.
We will do everything to avoid the strike, and it's important to say that the STM is extremely disappointed that the union did not give a chance to this new process led by a team of mediators appointed by Minister Boulet. We feel that we don't quite understand why they decided to go ahead with this strike, given the fact that they were the ones who requested to go forward and continue the process with the mediation. But one fact remains. The monetary demands from the union is still outstandingly and extremely too high. Their proposal does not reflect our operational realities, and we need to be able to deliver a safe and reliable service on a 24/7 basis, and we need additional flexibility given our financial context. If we were to fund those demands, we need to cut back bus service by 10%, and we're not willing to go there.
Okay. A couple of things in there, Raphael, that strike me as odd. When I had a union spokesman here for the maintenance workers, and I asked about money, he kind of put that to the side. He said, that's not our major issue. Our major issue is with subcontracting. And now you just heard from some management side suggest that the money they're asking for, the maintenance workers, are outrageous. They'd have to cut service by 10%. What do you make of this?
Well, their discourse changes from one day to another, because if you read what's written in the news today, the reaction from the union also is mainly about salaries, and I don't see where this is all going. Frankly, we're going to have yet another strike, two strikes, one on top of the other, and the demands are way irresponsible, unrealistic to me. Let's just take, for instance, do you have any idea of how much, on average, in a year, a STM bus driver earns?
Do you know?
I know.
So I'm going to take a guess.
Okay.
Okay. An STM bus driver,
on average.
On average.
If you include like the extra hours and advantages and everything.
I'll say $90,000.
$120K per year. So let's just...
$120K?
On average. That means that a lot of them earn more than that per year.
What is the STM number? Where do you call if you wanted to get it? I can ask. I'll ask you after.
If you go online, STM.info, probably you're going to find it.
Really? That's how much they make?
$120K. So that's a lot of money, and most people who ride the metro and the buses in Montreal don't earn that, even half of that in a year. So at some point you have to be reasonable, and I understand that, yes, it's the union's job to fight for their members and to say we want better salaries, but let's look at the situation here, and the STM has to cut $100 million in expenditures within the next 3 years. $56 million is what they are expecting to cut in 2026. That's why they're cutting 300 jobs right now. But the situation here is basically, do you want to have better salaries and on the other side force the STM to cut even more jobs, or do you want to remain with the salaries you have, but all of you could keep your jobs?
I don't understand one thing. If they're making $120K, I mean, that's, as you said, a lot of money. What is their argument, that they haven't kept up with the pace of inflation? Because obviously that's a pretty nice paycheck to take home.
That's a pretty nice paycheck. Maybe it didn't follow inflation, but inflation has affected everybody. Salaries in Quebec across the province have not followed inflation. It's not proper to the STM. It's also it's the same situation across the board, even in the private sector.
It would seem to me, by the way, now that you say this, right? You have Jean Boulet, who weighed in on this yesterday, the labor minister. He's going to have in his pocket at the end of the month, November 30th, a chance to force these people back to work, because that strike bill will become a law, the anti-strike bill. I wonder if people knew that bus drivers are making that kind of money, and I'm sure the maintenance guys who are walking out first, I don't know what they make. They get paid by the hour, I guess. Someone sent me a text yesterday saying they make around $38 to $40 an hour, if that's the truth. If the general public knew that that's the kind of money they were making and they were still asking for more going on strike, maybe that would kind of give leverage to the government to say, okay, well, this is why we're doing it.
I think the more they go on strike, the more they give arguments to the government to intervene here, because they are certainly not helping their own cause by putting the public opinion against their cause here, by taking bus users and metro users hostages, basically, with these strikes. It's leading absolutely nowhere. The demands are unreasonable, and with the current context, we need some flexibility right now from unions to understand that you can't just force taxpayers to pay more and more taxes and increase the tariffs to take the metro or reduce services. That's not an option. That's just not an option. If you reduce services, that means less people will be paying to use the metro and buses. That would reduce the income of the corporation, and in the end, you're going to increase the problem in terms of revenues and expenditures for the STM.
To that end, when I asked this question of our listeners yesterday, like, if you take sides here, does this seem kind of crazy to you? I didn't know this, and I don't know if you know this as well. The suggestion was made to me by people who take the bus on a regular basis that it's routine for people to get on the bus and simply refuse to pay.
I see that all the time. I see that here in downtown Montreal. I take the metro almost every day. I don't have a car, as you know. So I see that all the time. People going across like the tourniquet in the metro. Every day I see that happening.
This person was saying on buses it happens all the time.
Buses too, and the drivers don't intervene because
they're told not to.
It could be, of course, it could be risky to their lives. I'm not saying the bus drivers are doing an easy job. It's long hours. Mm-hmm. It's you have the responsibility of the lives of all the people who are in the bus. There's risks also, especially at night when you have people in crisis taking the bus and taking the metro. It's not an easy job, but still, $120K a year. It's a very good salary for a job that doesn't require higher education.
Well, that makes up for the fact that it's not necessarily an easy job. You're being paid for the job that you do. You're being paid for the job you do.
It's exactly. So at some point, I think it's important to put it on the table so that the public knows that right now they're not in a very bad situation financially speaking. $120K a year on average. For some of them, that means more than 120K because it's an average here. I mean, this is very high salaries. And you have to be reasonable in your demands. And at some point, just sit down at the negotiation table, be reasonable, and find a common ground, find an agreement with the management.
How do you think this ends?
I think we're going to have either the minister is going to intervene through his new law or we're going to have a special law. I think personally that public transit, especially in Montreal, should be considered an essential service and treated as healthcare or education, for instance, because this is vital to the economy of Montreal. It is vital for a lot of people who can't afford just taking an Uber, taking a cab, or buying a car in this city here. So this is an essential service in my point of view. The government should have intervened much earlier than it. If it were to intervene, let's say in November, that would be too late to me. We've already had 2 strikes. Are we going to wait to have a third strike? Yet again, paralyzing public transit in Quebec's metropolis? That's nonsense.
For people who are not keeping score, when it's Quebec, there's strikes all the time. You're right. This is the third maintenance. This would be the third maintenance driver strike. But we found out yesterday, beyond just the maintenance workers, these drivers you're talking about now, the ones who are making a
drivers
pretty hefty
and
salary.
metro conductors, yes.
That's another 4,500 or maybe 45,000? I don't even know.
4,500.
They're now
employees.
They've now given the management their strike notice now, and they can be out literally as early as November 1st.
The maintenance employees will start their strike on October the 31st, and on November the 1st, on top of that, you're going to add the strike of bus drivers, everybody else, basically. So no service it's going to be a very difficult November if the minister doesn't intervene before that.
Before we run out of time, just give me a quick take on the Gallant Commission telling us today it's going to be delayed again in its report. Surprising, not surprising. I mean, it's not going to be good news for the government anyway when it does come out.
It's good news for the government that it's delayed, though. Yeah. It serves the CAQ right now because, for sure, with everything we've heard so far, and the public hearings are going to come to an end tomorrow officially, and then the Judge Gallant is going to write his report, and he needs more time right now because there are more documents that were recently given to the commission. Because, as we know, the SAAQ was until recently refusing to provide certain documents. They were invoking the attorney-client principle under which they can't disclose certain confidential information. So finally, they got the documents. They're going to analyze this, include it in their report, and that's why they say they need 2 more months to complete the report. But it's good news certainly for the Legault government, because as we know, they will probably be blamed at some point in this report. And of course, for François Legault, that report coming in December, as it was originally planned, would have been very bad timing, because we're going to be at the end of the year. The pressures is growing on his shoulders right now, because the polls, as we have seen this week as well, many Quebecers, only 16% of Quebecers want him to remain as premier past the next election. So the pressures continue to grow on François Legault, but that delay is still in February. That's no good news for this year.
Really quick, I got to get out of here because Mitsumi is standing by. This I had to call it what you want. This announcement by the premier yesterday, basically an ultimatum to doctors: either get your act together by tomorrow or else. Right thing, wrong thing?
Right thing. I think at some point there's no advance. There's no progress in the negotiations. Both parties are stuck on their positions. So you have to intervene, and you can't. The main issue here I see is that they were delaying the production of new doctors because they were no longer providing services in universities. Teaching. We need doctors in the system. We can't wait over and over and over. So we have to intervene. Sadly,
we'll see what doctors do. So far, it's not looking so good.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.